So you want to know how good or bad is Dark Phoenix? Well, let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to my opinion/review for Dark Phoenix. I really do appreciate it. Now, I will go ahead and get this out of the way just because you guys are dying to know, I'm sure. But this film, Dark Phoenix, is far superior than X-Men Apocalypse. I even have that right there on 4K, and as I'm holding it up to the screen, I'm kind of asking myself, why in the world did I buy this thing? I think I've only watched it once or maybe twice since I bought it. It was a huge disappointment, but I will go ahead and say, guys, that X-Men Dark Phoenix does not suck. It is better than X-Men Apocalypse, guys, and I actually enjoyed the film. I walked out of the theater smiling. Now, I did go into the theater with extremely low expectations. I thought this film was just going to suck, be a dumpster fire, but I actually found a number of things within the film that was entertaining to the point where I walked out the movie and called one of my friends and was like, hey, I liked it. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed that. Is it the best X-Men film in their cinematic universe? Absolutely not. And we'll talk about that later on in this video. But I will go ahead and say, guys, that the film does not suck. I enjoyed it. I was entertained, and it is better than X-Men Apocalypse. Now, I will say this. If you are a diehard X-Men fan, and you want a true adaptation for Phoenix, for the Dark Phoenix character, you will be highly disappointed. They butchered it. They did. It's still entertaining, but it does not come remotely close to anything that was in the animated 90s cartoon or the comics. I'm not an expert as far as Phoenix is concerned myself, but I do know enough to where I'm like, okay, where in the world did y'all get this story from? They really didn't even acknowledge Phoenix within this movie. I mean, they had the emblem and the powers and things like that, and we're going to talk about it when I talk about my good and bad and things like that, and some of the things in this film that I just absolutely love. I mean, they had some parts in this film that was better than some fighting segments that are in the actual MCU with the real Marvel Studios. But if you just are just a casual fan and you just, you've seen these films, and you enjoyed them, you just want to go and have a good time. You just want to see a bunch of individuals using their powers with some great choreography and things like that. You're going to have a great time, because if you were to if we were to pretend that there was no other X-Men films ever that came before this, after this was the first X-Men film. This is a pretty good damn film. You know what I'm saying? I'm just have to be honest with you. I'm not going to come on here and crap bag the movie just because for clicks or to sound cool or to get a laugh or anything like that. But there is a lot to enjoy if you're just a casual fan. Now, this is being written and directed by Mr. Simon Kinberg. He is the producer on all of these X-Men films, or at least he came into the fold with 20th Century Fox around the time of 2011 with X-Men First Class, and that is still one of my favorite films. He's known as a producer. He's never directed anything before. This is his first, besides like a TV series, and I forgot the name of it. This is his first real production. And one of the things I liked about this movie just off the top is it came in an hour and 53 minutes, but it flew by. It really feels like this was like a 90-minute film. It did not waste any time to get started. And I think one of the things that helped move the story along was a score that was being composed by Mr. Hans Zimmer. He is one of the best not cinematographers, excuse me, the best composers out there. Besides like John Williams, he works with Christopher Nolan a lot on his films, and that's not the soundtrack, but the score in this film was absolutely phenomenal. That was one of the best things. I was about to say I haven't heard a score this great from Hans Zimmer in a while, but that would be a lie. I would be exaggerating, but it was damn good, and then it helped with the pacing. It helped move the script along. I was joking with myself as I was watching it, because I was kind of wanting them to slow down just a little bit with all the exposition and the jump in timeline that we got from Dark Phoenix to X-Men Apocalypse. It kind of just seemed like they were just like, okay, let's hurry up and get this over with. Like, we know this is the last X-Men film, so let's just get to it because we're being bought out by Disney. The next thing I liked about this film, though, are the visual effects, especially with the Phoenix powers. When they were zoomed in on her face, showing her eyes illuminate with power and things like that. When the X-Men flew up into the outer space to rescue the astronauts, where Phoenix got her powers, all of that looked great. And when the Phoenix Force, if you so call it, is being infused into Jean Grey's body, played by Miss Sophie Turner, it looked great. It really did. Also, the visual effects with Nightcrawler as he's teleporting here back and forth and things like that, that was also damn good. And I love the way that Cyclops beam, his optic beams look, and also Storm's lightning powers. You know, all of that looked great. So the visual effects, it's never really been an issue in these X-Men films, but it was something about this film that really popped to me. As far as the performances are concerned, of course, we have Sophie Turner playing the titular role of Dark Phoenix. You know, we all know her from Game of Thrones and a few other things, and she's really grown up. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't look like a little girl anymore. She looks like, you know, a young woman, and that's great in the sense that, you know, this is Dark Phoenix, one of the most powerful characters in all of Marvel Comics. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to see like a little child, you know, fulfilling this role. It just wouldn't really match for me, but it really did match with Sophie Turner's performance. I think she, you know, she did. No, I'm not saying it's Oscar worthy, but, you know, I think she did a great job. Something else that I liked is the story points that they hit on with Jean Grey's, with Phoenix's father. We got a little backstory there that was in the very beginning of the film, and also just actually I liked it. I don't want to spoil anything, but I like what they did there. Also, Magneto, played by Michael Fassbender. One of the things when I go into these films, what I want to see is I want to see a character use all of their powers to the utmost ability. I want them to struggle. I want them to max out. And of course, you know, from the trailers, we see a standoff between Magneto and Sophie Turner. Now, there is one in the trailer that you all see when he has the helmet on. I'm not talking about that one, but there is just like another one where they're kind of, I don't necessarily want to say fighting each other, but just trying to see necessarily who is the more powerful. You know, Sophie Turner, Dark Phoenix, you know, she just up there chilling like, I got all the power. I'm Dark Phoenix. Magneto and that thing struggling like, I mean, you could like see all the veins like pop out of his neck like giving it all. I'm just sitting there like, oh snap. And I'm saying, this is what's up. This is what I want to see, because Magneto is strong as hell. You know what I'm saying? He's like a level 4, level 5 mutant. You know what I'm saying? He can really, you know, mess up some stuff, F up some stuff. So to see him struggle a little bit, to see him go all out, you know what I'm saying? As a comic book fan myself, I'm like, okay, this is, like I said, exactly what I come to see. And I love this. Also, I like what they did with Cerebro. Okay. If you don't, I mean, I'm pretty sure you know what Cerebro is if you're watching this video, but the visual effects and the imagery that they use within that scene, and how I'm going to say Patrick Stewart, James McAvoy, Professor X used this in this film. I really do like it. It was very creative. And just a little bit something that we have never seen before. Now, I'm also just a fan of X-Men because it represents people that look like me. Pretty much everybody knows this, but if you don't, I guess you'll be surprised. I mean, I've been knowing this since I was like 10 years old, but of course the X-Men are based off of Black Americans in the United States, you know, with the mutants being Black people. Professor X is Martin Luther King. Magneto is Malcolm X. If you've never heard of that before, that is true. You can look up plenty of interviews of Stan Lee, who created the characters, to where he says this or whatever. And that element right there really did stand out. And I would just go ahead and say that I was kind of laughing to myself, because I really doubt that the director, writer of this, Simon Kinberg, did this on purpose. But he had a scene to where one of the mutants, in my opinion, was cooning. And I will just say, look, guys, if you're out there and you're Black, or even brown, but if you're Black, I'll just go ahead and say this: stop with all the cooning. Cooning will not save you. It just won't. It never has. It never will. And what's funny is Tariq Nasheed, somebody that I listen to his podcast. I've seen all his films. He gives example after example after example of how cooning does not save certain Black people. They think it will, but it just comes up and bites them in the ass. And there was an element of it in this film. If you catch it in the movie, I'm not going to tell you where it is. If you catch it in the movie, please come back after you subscribe and comment below and kind of codify your comment, because I don't want you to spoil anything. But I just want to see if you was able to see what I saw, what a certain character was doing. Now, there is an element in this scene right here that I love. I just went over the things that I like. I'm going to save that for last, but right now I'm going to talk about the things that I did not like in the film. First of all, I thought the costumes were shitty. I thought there was a hot mess. They looked like somebody made them for $20 each. And, you know, I don't know, they put it together themselves, or this was like Walmart, or like the cheap X-Men costumes that you get at like Party City or something like that. What is frustrating to me is if you've seen the end of X-Men Apocalypse, the closing scene, you see all of the X-Men in their costumes and they look badass. It's all nice and pristine and glossy and looks like it's expensive. But in this thing right here, it just looks like cheap pajamas. And I really don't understand that. And it really looked dorky. And that just kind of clogged me out. I like, one of the things is the continuity in the X-Men films is crap. There's just like no such thing as continuity. It's horrible. And it's even worse in this film, you know what I'm saying, with the costumes and also the beginning of the film. If you've seen the end of X-Men Apocalypse, when they're destroying Apocalypse, when they're destroying Apocalypse, you see that Jean powers up with the Phoenix symbol. So that kind of lets you know that power is already within her. Why they did that in that film, I don't know. But then you see her get her power in space. That doesn't make sense. Did she get her power in space in this movie, or did she already have it inside of her from X-Men Apocalypse? Another thing that I really just didn't like is there is a scene towards the end where some cops come through and they try to engage with the X-Men. Now, this is not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. You'll see that at one point, like in the trailers, there's a train sequence towards the end of the film, towards the end of a number of the trailers, and you see a number of the X-Men. They have been arrested. You know, they have restraints on them and they necklaces on to dampen their powers and things like that. The way they obtained the mutants, I thought was really stupid and cheap. It's like, wait a minute, how do you have all these experienced fighters, X-Men with all these powers, but you know, you have these street cops or whatever, or even if they're a SWAT team with some type of tactical training and all that, I just did not buy that. Also, I was really annoyed with Beast and Nightcrawler in this film. I thought that they were whining throughout the film, like, "Oh, Jean Grey, I'm so sorry," and you know, and Mystique, and you know, all of that good stuff. You know, I really wasn't feeling that. As far like this is my main complaint right here with the continuity, or just with the X-Men series as a whole. It just seems like this whole series was rushed. It's very frustrating that at the end of this film, it ends with the X-Men training in their suits. And we all know, like, okay, now this is the 90s cartoon X-Men that we know, the classic X-Men, but we have the next film right here that jumps forward in time just a little bit more, and you don't even know how much time. You're telling one of the biggest stories in all of X-Men history, but you teased us the beginning of the X-Men at the last one. And, you know, we have these X-Men, they're still children. Yes, they may be of legal age in real life, but they look like children and they're still being sold as children. And that's just not how the X-Men is. The classic 90s X-Men cartoon that we know and love, or the comics, these are grown men and women. And for you to go from their introduction at the end of the last film to them still looking young, but you're telling some grand old story right here, the biggest in X-Men franchise, that just kind of really rubs me the wrong way. And like I said at the very beginning of this video, they do butcher the Phoenix story arc. Now, the thing that I absolutely loved in this film was the demonstration of powers between all the mutants. Now, we all know that Mystique dies in this film. It's very blatantly obvious in the trailers. The writer-director Simon Kinberg, he did not want you to go in with that surprise. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So when Mystique dies, that whole scene right there is the first scene to where we get to see the X-Men doing all the stuff with their powers. It was badass. It was brief, but I was like, oh snap. If we get a little bit more of this towards the end of the film, hey, we got a winner on our hands. And guys, we have a winner on our hands, because the last fight sequence of this movie, I mean, you kind of had like so it's kind of, when I was watching, I was like, this is kind of broken down into sections like Man of Steel. Like the very end of Man of Steel, we got the fight with with Superman versus the Kryptonians in Smallville, and then it went over to that was part 1, and then part 2 we got the Kryptonians fighting Superman and all the fighter ships and all that, and then part 3 we got Superman versus Zod. That's kind of how this is put together as well. We kind of got like a little pre-fight or whatever, between certain X-Men and things like that and mutants, and it was cool. It was nice, and I liked it. It was good. Beast right here was kind of frustrating me because I'm like, Beast, you're supposed to be beasting it out, and you're not really beasting it out. You kind of catting it out. You kind of mousing it out. I really want to see you go off and just flip around and do twirls and flips and kicks and punches and claws and things like that. It was cool. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't all that I wanted. But when we got to that train sequence at the end, man, hold up. I was so goddamn excited. I yelled at oh shit in the theaters. Like I had to close it was an accident because I was so goddamn excited. When I go see these films, I want to see all X-Men, everybody with powers going all out. I don't want to see 3 characters over here and then 1 character over here timid, don't know when to get in the fight. Like, should I shoot now? Should I? No. Everybody at the end of this was going off. Everybody. Beast came, like when the oh shit moment came from Beast because he got upset for something. I'm not going to tell you how or why, but he got upset towards the end of the movie. All that crying stuff went out of the way. He straight went up beast mode and just started messing everybody up. You know what I'm saying? And Phoenix, I'll go ahead and give you this little tidbit right here. Phoenix is not necessarily the overall threat in this film. You know what I'm saying? We have somebody else. Now, I forgot, I always get Bryce Dallas Howard and Jessica Chastain confused now. Yeah, Jessica Chastain in this film. She's playing a character by the name of Volk or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's a made up character. But what they did with her character, I really do like, especially when it came at the end. There is a nice amount of cannon fodder. Cannon fodder is just like faceless enemies that you can kill. Like, Avengers Infinity War when they was attacking Wakanda or whatever, all those little beasts or whatever. I forgot what that was called. That's cannon fodder. You can just, name, face, you can just kill them. It's they had a nice element of that. But man, this train sequence at the end, it was a dream come true for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I was living, I was hype, I was crunk. I was like, oh, in my seat, guys, and I am not exaggerating. So like at the end of Avengers Endgame where everybody like rallied together, Avengers Assemble, you know what I'm saying? They had a little thing like that in this movie too. X-Men Assemble. Now they didn't say X-Men Assemble, that would be kind of corny, but they did have a little part where like all the X-Men came together and teamed up to fight, whatever the threat was, like, and it was live. I was like, yes, this is what I'm talking about, and I was not expecting it. Like I was so goddamn excited. Like Beast went off, and like while Nightcrawler was being like a little bitch earlier, now he got pissed off too with his teleportation powers popping in, poof, 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 and like the poof, even the poof noises was badass. He was doing his thing. Storm came through. Like what? Like she did her thing a little bit in X-Men Apocalypse, but the way she came through there, she just popped up. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yes, lightning everywhere. Like she was doing lightning, she was doing wind, she was doing ice. I'm spitting it. Oh shit, I'm spitting everywhere. My bad. She was like flying in the air doing her little lightning powers. I was like, yes, you know what I'm saying? Who the hell, what they talking about? This movie sucks. This movie is great. I'm like loving it. So we got Beast doing this thing. Cyclops coming through, beaming the shit out of everything. Bing, 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 bing. I'm up here knocking my glass. I like, it's just that, like, I'm like, and the way, like, what the fuck? I'm sorry, mama, for cousin. What the, James McAvoy, Professor X, the dude is in a wheelchair, but he's in the middle of the fight. How you gonna be rolling around fighting like this? You know what I'm saying? Trying to roll a wheelchair, but it was nice. And they had like a little sequence to where he was teaming up with Nightcrawler. So he's in the wheelchair, doing his mind control powers, teaming up with Nightcrawler. Like, I was like, who thought of this? I mean, they really said, like, okay, this character, you could tell this character can do this. So what is the best way that we can choreograph all of these actions and fight scenes and stuff like this? Shout out to all the people with dreads. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got some representation in this film too. And you're going to laugh when you see it. So, yeah, Mystique dead. Oh, and then Magneto, you know what I'm saying? He coming through with the metal powers, you know, like, it was nice. Like, okay, look, think about what I'm saying, right? They're fighting in a train towards the end, right? He controls metal, so he should be able to really just dominate the fight. He did, but at the same time, he was challenged, and that's great, because you're going to be saying to yourself, bruh, all you got to do is do something like this. Or, hey, he did it. And I was like, yes, I like it, bro. You're using your powers to the max. It's dope. I'm liking it, man. Keep it going. So that was nice. So yeah, we got Professor X, badass, but his power is a handicap. Michael Fassbender, Magneto. Yeah, she died. Beast did his thing. Cyclops, Quicksilver, he did his thing too. I forgot about him. You know what I'm saying? You know, he's super fast. His power kind of I think he's kind of too fast in the X-Men films, but you know, he did a great job. The only character that I didn't get everything I wanted to see was Phoenix. And that's kind of BS. How you gonna have a film called Dark Phoenix, but you know, everybody maxed out. Like, we got to see Dark Phoenix's powers, but everybody maxed out their powers except for the Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? So while the first part, like what I said with Smallville comparing it to Man of Steel, you know, we got there with that pre-fight or whatever, where Beast kind of, you know, being a little scaredy cat or whatever. Then we got the train sequence that was awesome. And then like the part where I was talking about, it compares to Superman versus Man of Steel. And the Man of Steel, that was completely satisfying. And yes, they kind of teased it. They set it up for you. You know what I'm saying? Like the train sequence, it was a long fight. It was a long, nice choreographed fight. And I'm like, hey, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like I am satisfied. We still got to see what this one character is going to do, but you know, I'm satisfied. They teased it to you. I was saying it just went down. It's like, okay, it's about, it just went down, but now it's really about to go down now. Oh, snap. We get dessert too? Snap. Okay, let's do this. And then it really didn't fully deliver on that part. I mean, it was entertaining, but I was like, I kind of wanted a little bit more. But guys, I love the film. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna buy the heck out of this film. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait to buy it. Because that train sequence towards the end, it really did save the film. This probably would have just been okay, like an okay movie, not no crap bag, but it really did save the film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, mind you, I am hyping this thing up, and so you're gonna go in with different expectations. I just went in thinking that it was gonna be trash. Now, I have all 11 films right here. I'm not going to tell you where Dark Phoenix rates amongst all of them, because I'm going to be making a video straight after this to where I rate all of these films from first to worst. So make sure you tune into that after you subscribe. But if I had to rate Dark Phoenix out of 1 out of 10, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Yes, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I think I really enjoyed it, and I think you will too. But guys, that is just my opinion. What did you think about Dark Phoenix, or have you seen it? Do you want to see it? What did you think about my review? Please let me know down in the comment section below. If you like this video, please give me the thumbs up. Also, please consider subscribing, and also subscribe to the channel. But guys, I just want to thank you again for tuning in to my opinion/review for Dark Phoenix. And before you go, don't forget that my name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace.